Welcome back to 4xFlex Diecast Customs. I am the Mad Tinker, aka the Angry Diecast Mechanic. Let's get ready to work. If you've been to my channel before, then you already know what we're going to need. A drill with a 3/16 drill bit, wire cutters, metal tweezers, zip ties, mini saw blade, and a hot glue gun. Mitsubishi Pajero Evo is the car we're working on today, and I can't wait to change out these ugly wheels. Drill out both rivets just enough that you can take off the bottom frame. Using the wire cutters, cut the plastic that hold down the front and rear axles. Remove the excess plastic that held down the front and rear axles, so when the suspension is installed, the axle can move freely. Don't forget to cut the excess plastic underneath the frame behind each wheel. Hey, don't forget to like and subscribe. Alright, on the outer edge of the frame where the wheels would be, start cutting along the middle where the axle would sit until you get to the plastic that held down the axle. You're going to be doing this 4 times, so take your time and try to keep the cut straight. Assemble the interior with the bottom frame where we're going to use the 4 cuts that were just made as a guide to make another 4 cuts for the interior frame. This will keep our axle straight when it comes to vertical movements. Make another few passes with the mini saw blade and check that the cuts are leveled. Don't forget, you're going to be doing this 4 times, so take your time and go slow, keep the cuts straight. The front axle, there's a little piece of plastic sticking out. Cut it off and try to make it as smooth as possible. You're then going to take 4 pieces of zip ties and fold them so that they stay at a 90-degree angle. Then check to see that the small piece that is bent is at the correct size and fits inside of the frame like you see here. I decided to go with these wheels from an old Matchbox car, and later in the video I'll explain why. Starting with the front of the car, set the axle first, then apply some hot glue like you see here, and set the 2 pieces of zip ties that were prepped earlier. For the front axle, you want to keep the zip ties close together but in the center of the frame. This is where the metal tweezers come in. Apply more hot glue over the zip ties so that way they stay locked in, and then cut the excess off. Alright, you're more than halfway there. You're going to do the exact same thing for the rear axle, but you're going to leave that little plastic tab that's sticking out from the frame, and you're going to put the zip ties close together so that they're touching the little plastic piece. Alright, Temporarily assemble it back together. Check that everything is leveled, nothing is misaligned. Check to see that the suspension is flexing, nothing is coming undone, nothing is being hung up, everything is straight. Remember, this is hot glue. If it doesn't work out or if you need to reapply it, you can always take it apart. Zip ties are easy. That's the whole point of this. Once everything checks out and you have it where you want it, take it back apart again. Put a generous amount of glue on the leftover studs or where the rivets used to be, and then assemble it back together. Please be careful you do not burn yourself. Alright, the reason I went with these wheels and not the usual rubber ones or even the stock ones, because one, the stock ones were ugly, but you see this little plastic here? These are the mud guards or mud flaps that are part of the frame. Unfortunately, the rubber wheels that I'm using just happen to be too big and it tends to catch on the mud guards or mud flaps, goddammit. As you can see in this one, the first one that I've ever modified, I had to cut out the mud flaps in order to make more room. Despite making more room, whenever the suspension flex, it's not going to roll anymore. It'll catch on and hold tight onto the car itself. On a flat surface, it'll roll fine, no problem, but when you try to push it back, it catches on the frame every time and it's pretty much stuck. If that doesn't bother you, then go with whatever wheels you want. I chose the Matchbox ones because I simply like how it looks and I still like to use my Hot Wheels on the track. There you have it. Done.